All right, all right, all right. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are hailing from. Um, and as you can see, well, you might not be able to see, but I am streaming again, once again, doing a streaming. I'm on two different places. I'm on Instagram and I'm on LinkedIn Live. So if you're joining me on either one, welcome, welcome. Dr. Maisha, founder of the Mind Remapping Company. And if you have been watching, then last week you saw that we talked about year-end assessment. We talked about the importance of doing a year-end review, the importance of um, doing a personal inventory at the end of our year to kind of assess what we've accomplished, what we've learned. And I'll quickly drive you through this process again. But if you didn't see the full thing, you can watch it. It was last Thursday, and it should be on all the platforms. So I encourage you to go back and watch it because it was a very um, detailed process that I invited you through. And so today, what we're going to do is I want to take you through this process of actually inserting goals into your future, the process that I take my clients through in inserting goals into the future. And I'm going to guide you through a sort of lightning version of it, but you can get the idea of how to do this process and so that you can actually take it forth and do it for yourself. Now, um, just to kind of recap from the very, very quickly recap from the last session, the last live that I did, we talked about this process of doing an end of the year assessment, doing the end of the year inventory, and why that's important. Because, first of all, a lot of times when we look at the year, we don't often see how far we've come. We don't often see all of the accomplishments that have been made. And a lot of times we tend to focus on what's wrong. We tend to focus on what we didn't accomplish. And that's the place that we create from. And it's not a very empowering place to create from, by the way. Um, hey, Courtney, it's good to see you here. And so it's not a super empowering place to create from. Creating from the place of what you haven't done, what you haven't accomplished, where things have gone wrong. And so the process that I went through last week is a process that I myself go through and take my clients through, is this process of looking at the whole picture, right? You really can't create if you don't have the big picture of where you've come from. I mean, you can, but it's often more empowering to see that full picture so that when you're creating for the future, then you either have a bigger goal to create or you can see what's possible beyond what you've already done, right? And so the process that I took people through last week was this process of, and I also, if you were with me last week, you saw that I offered a free template, completely no strings attached. And if you want that template, just remind me. Just put it. I've sent it out to a few people. Put it in the comments. Send me the template, and I will send you the template. But I took people through this process of first, you have the column of questioning. And then you have the rows of areas of life. So the first question is, what did I accomplish? What did I accomplish? And this is where you share your wins. What are your big wins for the year? Everybody has some wins, right? Big wins, little wins, they all matter. Like, don't think of just, all the like huge things, but think of all the little wins because a lot of times the little things pile up, they add up to the big wins. So, what did you accomplish? The second column was, um, I absolutely will, Dr. TV 03. Good morning, our intellectual. Um, so, the second column was, what didn't work? What about the year didn't work? What didn't work? And it's important to kind of see what didn't work and not just from the standpoint of, not from the standpoint at all of failure, right? We're not talking about that. We're talking about what didn't work. What are the things that you said you accomplished and you didn't quite accomplish? What are the things that you went to accomplish and it didn't quite turn out the way you thought it would? What are the things that didn't work? And it's important to be able to see that because it creates the gap, right? So for those goals that you wanted to meet that you didn't meet, it creates a gap. And then you can look at, well, what was missing that will allow you to fill that gap so you could achieve that goal and greater for the next time, right? So this what didn't work. Then the third column was what unexpected accomplishments did you have? What unexpected blessings happened? Because we often don't think about that part, right? We might think about what we accomplished, what we got done, what we didn't get done, what didn't work. But oftentimes throughout the year, throughout time, these unexpected opportunities that you jump at, or these unexpected blessings, these unexpected accomplishments happen. And I shared, about the fact that I wasn't expecting to have a short-term rental business, and now I do, right? That was an unexpected accomplishment, right? So what are the unexpected accomplishments? In the next column, the fourth column, is what did I learn? Now these can be personal learnings, learnings about your capabilities, learning about what you thought was possible versus what actually is possible, learning about something that you now can with peace complete and putting in the on the shelf. These could be learnings about anything, learnings about capacity for business, capacity for change, right? So what did you learn? And from that, you create, well, what are your new goals? What are your new goals for 2022? Whether you want to bring forward, roll over goals that maybe didn't quite get accomplished in 2021, whether you want to roll those over and recommit to those, looking at what was missing and filling in the gaps, like i.e. the learnings, so that you can accomplish those goals, right? Or whether it's you met a goal and now you want to create a new and even bigger goal, right? A new and more exciting goal, right? Or whether it's something new that you haven't even started yet, but you're like, you know what? I think I want to try this year. Create that goal and make it specific, make it measurable, make it achievable, make it responsible, right? What is the impact of that? And make it toward and timed. Okay, when I say toward, I mean toward what you want, which sort of brings us into now. So you've done this process, you're creating your goals, and let's talk about, well, how then, when you create these goals, you create these visions, how do you get them to actually manifest? How do you actually put them in your future in a way that they show up for you? So there's a couple of ways that I approach this, because it's multiple things. So the first and foremost, you do have to take action. Right? You can't just put a goal in your future and say, guess what? This goal's in my future. Now I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna allow for the universe to just pop something in my lap. You do have to take action towards what you want. Right now, does the universe provide? Absolutely. Does God provide for those who are believers in that way? Absolutely, right? So it doesn't matter how the belief comes, whether it's universe, whether it's God, whether it's Yahweh, whatever it is, right? The divine, feminine, all of that, right? Whatever that higher entity is for you, does it provide? Absolutely. So you want to take action and you want to have a structure towards taking that action. Now, one of the things that this process that I'm going to kind of guide you through provides is it provides an internal representation, internal visual of what it is that you're moving toward. See, our brain works in pictures, right? Our brain works in pictures and sounds and internal representations and feelings. And when we have an internal representation, like a sound, a picture, a feeling, then our reticular activating system, that little part of our brain that seeks out to match, and you guys have heard me say this many times before, but it always bears repeating, seeks out to match in the world that internal representation in your future. So now what I'm going to assist you in doing in a way, in a way of sorts, is actually creating that internal representation and then taking it out into your future. Now, the thing about this is the goal, like I said, the goals have to be smart goals, specific. They need to be measurable. They need to be achievable. They need to be responsible and realistic, and they need to be timed and toward. Okay, and and then where you state the goal as in the present. as if now. Okay. And so what I encourage you to do, if you have not already gone through this process, if you have not already created a goal that's SMART, if you haven't already gone through the process and even decided what your goals are, is to bookmark this. Bookmark this video right now and come back to it. Go listen to the previous video if you haven't already. Go through the process, create the goals, come back and bookmark this video and watch it again. It's always great to have a repetitive process, right? To install this for yourself as a process that you can do ongoing. Okay. Now, so when I say specific, this is what I mean. If you say, I want more money, we're going to take money, for instance, right? You say, I want more money. Well, $1 is more money, right? It's not very specific. But if you say, I want to, and you have to put a number to it. So I want to make $1 million within the next year. Let's just say, right? I want to make $1 million by December 31st, 2022. So let's say that's the goal. And then that's specific. It's $1 million is very specific. It's measurable, right? You can measure that in whatever way you measure it. It's toward what you want. I want to, not I want to get away from. And it's whether it's achievable. Oh, and the other A is actionable, right? It's actionable. It's got to be actionable. So whether or not it's achievable, it depends on where you are, right? And then it's and same with realistic, but it's responsible. You have to check that with yourself. And then it's toward and it's timed. Okay. So specific, measurable, achievable. Achievable and actionable is the other A. Forgot to say that. Actionable. Okay. And responsible, realistic, and then timed and toward. Those are your SMARTs. That's the acronym for SMART. Okay. So now you've created that SMART goal by December 31st, 2021. I want to have make or generate $1 million in revenue for my business. So let's say that's the goal. Now you can create any goal you want. It doesn't have to be that. It could be I want to have met my life partner by April 4th, 2022. I want to have reached my ideal weight of 133 by June 1st, 2022. It could be whatever it is, right? It could be any of that. But you set the goal, and that's how specific and measurable and actionable that it needs to be. Okay, so that's the first step, is just making sure that the goal is actually a very specific SMART goal. Now, the next step you're going to do, now I'm going to tell you the steps, then I'm going to guide you through it really quickly. Okay, so the next step you want to do is, so you've got the goal, and you state the goal in the present. It is now. It is now December 31st, 2022, and I'm excited because my business has generated over $1 million, $1 million or better in revenue. Right. That's how you would state it. I am excited. It is now June 1st, 2022, and I am fitting into my clothes because I have reached my ideal weight of 133. So that it's very specific. You notice I put a kinesthetic in there. I put a feeling in there, like I'm excited. Right. You don't have to do that as long as you state the goal. It is in the present. Right. It's now April 4th, 2022, and I have met my life partner, and we are in a healthy, delicious, fun relationship on our way to marriage. Right? Could be that. Who knows, right? So whatever it is for you, that's how you state the goal. Okay. Now, the next thing you do is you actually get the last step. This is the evidence procedure. What is the last step so that you know that you got that goal? What is the last step that needs to happen so that you know that I got that goal, right? So you kind of get what that last step is for you, all right? So for example, it's June 1st, 2022, and I'm excited. I'm fitting my clothes differently. I reached my ideal weight, that particular goal. The evidence procedure may be you step on the scale and you look down and you see the numbers 133. Okay, that could be the evidence procedure, right? Some of you may be wondering, why did she choose the specific number 133? I'm 5'1". That's the weight. So it's a little personal, but I'm just trying to make it real and be quick with it. But yeah, so you look down at the scale and boom, 133. All right. And that's how you know. So what is that for you? What is the very last step to have you to know that you got that goal? Now, if you're doing this, by the way, last week I did say that this can be personal, it could be a team, it could be a family goal, it could be anything. It is now July 30th, 2022, and our family is excitedly enjoying our vacation to Hawaii, right? Doesn't matter what the goal is. Doesn't have to be, could be anything, could be family, our team, our organization, could be any goal at any level, but this is the process. And if you're doing it as a family, or as a team, or as a group, I would suggest that you do this process as a group, because what's more powerful than one vision, one internal representation in one brain seeking an outcome for the future? It's multiple brains seeking the same outcome for the future. Now that's powerful, and it has other implications that we won't discuss today, i.e., organizational transformation, right? We talk about things like diversity and equity, inclusion, and goals and values, and actually having alignment in whole organizations and groups, right? For the same outcome. Boy, that's powerful. It's powerful. But I'm going to reel that back because I want you to know the implications on a larger scale. But what I want to get you through this process as well. So you got the last step. You got the last step to know that you got that goal. All right. Now, the next step is to, now that you've got that last step, have an internal representation of that. What do you see, hear, feel on that last step? What do you see, hear, feel that has you know that you got that goal? What is that, right? And so then you actually get that sort of picture. You adjust it in your mind so that's the most real feeling. You do that, right? And then um, you're going to sort of you're going to float yourself up above the now. Okay. Now I'm gonna sort of do this process, do like the lightning version of this process, but there is a more specific process that I do when I do timeline therapy with my clients. That is much more specific. But I'm gonna for the purposes of now, you're gonna float up above the now, like you're gonna float up above your now, right? Above your body, like you're having an out of body experience, and you're gonna imagine yourself floating into the future to that date, whatever date that is, the June 1st, 2022, when you set the goal for the ideal weight, or if it's July 30th, 2022, you set the goal for the vacation, or if it's April 4th, 2022, you set the goal for the relationship. You just allow yourself to float up above what would be sort of your timeline, right? Your timeline, the line of your life, and allow yourself to float, not walk, but float out into the future, and and visualize that date like you're floating along a calendar, right? A calendar line, and float out to that date. And then so before you do that, right? So you're going to float up above that piece, and you're going to imagine yourself um, breathing life, giving energy to this interrepresentation. So now you've gotten the picture, you've adjusted it in your mind for the most real feeling, and you've risen up above what would be the calendar or the timeline of your life, right? And then you're going to imagine yourself blowing and breathing life with 4 deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, right? In through the nose and out through the mouth. And you're going to imagine yourself breathing the life force into that. So this is an imaginative process, but very powerful. It's symbolic. It's symbolic. You're breathing life into this future goal that you're about to put in your timeline. Then that's when you float out. Imagine yourself floating out, like you're floating out on a calendar, whichever way that is. It could be forward, it could be side to side, it could be diagonal. It doesn't matter, right? Whatever that is for you. You're floating out into the future above what would be your timeline, like a calendar line. And when you get to that date, and you know you've gotten to that date, imagine that date. You just drop the picture right into the timeline. You see it go down into that date like it's like a little puzzle piece. The puzzle piece kind of fits in perfectly. It's like a puzzle piece fitting, right? So you let it float on down like a puzzle piece, fitting into that timeline. And um, then what you do is you turn from that calendar date, you turn and you look towards the now. You look towards the present, and you imagine yourself seeing all of your timeline, all of that time between what would be now and that future date, aligning itself for the successful completion of that goal. Okay? So I'm going to repeat that part. So dropped, after you've dropped this picture of the last step, the most real feeling picture into the timeline, see it go into that date, fitting between May 30th and May 31st and June 2nd, right? Seeing it just float right into June 1st, 2022, or whatever date that you chose. Then you're going to turn and look towards the now. And you're going to imagine and see all of the events in your timeline between then and now realign itself for the successful completion of that goal. And once you've seen that and done that, then you just come on back to the now and just come back in your body. That's the process. Okay. Now, um, I invite you to go back and watch this. When you go back and watch it, you can actually do the process. I'm going to run it through really quick as if so that for those of you who um, want to come back and do this process and just do it all the way through, you can feel how it feels. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And then I'm going to talk about a couple of pitfalls because there are some pitfalls that can happen that can have the process not work as well as you'd like it to. All right. So imagine you have a goal. State the goal in the positive, right? It is now, insert the date, and I am happily or excitedly or relaxingly or whatever that adjective is, and then state the goal. Okay? Now, what is the last step? What is the very last step so that you know you got that goal? Get the last step, right? And once you've gotten that last step, do you have an internal representation? Create an internal representation of that. What do you see, hear, feel at that last step? Now, I want you to, in your mind, in your imagination, adjust that so that it has the most real feeling to you. The most real, make it brighter, make it movie, make it, sharper, make it more focused, whatever it is. Make it the most real feeling, so you get that feeling. Wherever you get that feeling, in your chest, in your belly, whatever it is. Get excitement, whatever that feeling is. Then, once you have done that, I want you to take that picture. I want you to float up above your timeline, float above the now, float above this thing, this calendar now. And then I want you to imagine in your mind, in your imagination, imagine yourself breathing the life force into this internal representation of your future goal. You do that, and you do that by inhaling through the nose and blowing out through the mouth. And you do that 4 times. Then you're going to go ahead now and you're going to float out to on your timeline, whether it's front to back, side to side, and you just let your unconscious mind guide you whatever direction that is. Float out above the now. I mean, above the future, above that future date. Okay, above that future date, like a calendar, like you're floating along the line of a calendar. And then you take that vision, that picture, that internal representation, drop it into that date that you stated, and then watch it fit into the timeline like a nice little puzzle piece. Boom. Then you're going to turn towards the now, and you're going to imagine and visualize and see the events between then and now reimagine themselves, rework themselves, reevaluate themselves so that you have the successful completion of the goal. You're going to see all of that happening. And when you've done that, you just come back into the now and your body. All right? So that is the process. That is the process. Now, pitfalls. Sometimes we have these pitfalls called limiting beliefs So, and fear and negative emotions. And, fear is a normal, natural, emotion, as such as anger and sadness and guilt and all of these things, right? But these things can actually stop us. They can stop us. Now, here's the thing. When you're setting your goals, especially when you're doing a process like this, you have to do this with such certainty. There has to be such certainty that you know that you can get this goal so that you're not putting in your future confusion and doubt, right? So that's one of the big pitfalls. If you have not removed the doubt, the self-doubt, or whatever kind of doubt it might be that this thing can actually happen and take place, it will sabotage that future, right? It'll sabotage it because you'll be putting doubt into your future, and you do not want to do that, right? Um, if you have guilt, right? You have guilt, it'll sabotage the process because then you'll be putting guilt in your future. And who wants that? Nobody, right? So we often do this process at the very end of sessions when I do our transformation process sessions where we're getting rid of old negative emotions and limiting beliefs and decisions. We often do this and then we do some cleanup processes, just really trying to get people aligned with what they want. Right? If they want something, not getting what they want, there's often things in the way. When Dr. Leroy and I talked about this early on a few weeks ago, we talked about, intention. And when intention doesn't match outcome, it's typically because there's some things in the way. And those things are usually happen to be conflicting intention or a old negative emotion that kind of is clouding our ability to see what's possible and limiting beliefs, decisions about ourselves, about others, about the world, about what's possible. And those things can really sabotage this process. Okay, so it's a beautiful, wonderful process and it works. It has worked on so many of my clients who have written books and who have gotten corporate contracts within weeks of doing this process, right? It's worked for me all of my life. Well, not all of my life, all of it. Well, actually, kind of so, because before I was doing this work formally, I realized that I was doing it informally. So that's a intuitive process. However, that's not the point. The point is, it's a wonderful, beautiful process if when you do this process, you have cleaned up your past. What do I mean by clean up your past? Clean up the negative stuff that gets in the way, the negative conversations, the negative thinking, the negative emotions, all of that stuff has to be cleaned up so that you're free to be and free to create. You're free, right? So those are a couple of the pitfalls, that uncertainty, the doubt, the negative thinking, negative like skepticism, the all of these things, cynicism, resignation, all of these things constitute um, points of sabotage for the process. So if you have not done the work to actually get rid of all the doubt, then I would recommend you do that before you put these goals in your future. Okay? Unless you are highly certain of the goal, like you just know. All right. So that's the recommendation. And if you're doing this as a family, if you're doing this in groups, again, you'll want to make sure that the family's all aligned for the future goal, or the team or the organization is all aligned, and that they themselves are doing the work that needs to be done um, individually. This is why personal development work in organizations is so important. I think that a lot of organizations focus on professional development, but they don't often focus on that personal development, that personal evolution. But this is why personal evolution work, personal transformation work is so important, because it allows, especially in organizations, because it allows each individual to evolve, which in turn involves the whole organization. Okay. So now, that being said, you have the process, you have the pitfalls, you have the year-end evaluation process. What are you going to do? Are you going to do this process now? And if you, of course, find yourself in a space where you want to do this get rid of some of the old beliefs and self-doubt and things of that nature so that you can put these goals in the future, then you can reach out to me. You can reach out to me my by direct messenger, no matter which platform you're listening on right now. You can go to my website, which is mindremappingacademy.com, and schedule a call with me. Um, and I'll put that in the comments, or you can, um, if you're following me on Instagram, hit the link in my bio. If you're on LinkedIn, there is a website available for you to check out as well. Okay, so if you have done the work, go through this process. If you are very certain about the goals you're going to put in your future, I mean, like 100% certain, like as certain as you're certain that the sun's going to come up tomorrow, certain, like as certain as ate uh, breakfast this morning or didn't eat breakfast this morning or drank a glass of water this morning or didn't drink a glass of water. It's just that certain. Then go ahead and do the process, right? And um, this is a process that can be done at any time. Of course, I'm doing it at the end of the year because guess what? It's wonderful. But, today is the winter solstice, by the way. It's a wonderful time to do this process. Winter solstice is a time of creation, a time of shedding of old things and creating of new things. So it's a wonderful time. But it doesn't have to be. You could do it anytime. You could do it after the new year. If you feel like, well, I've got some work to be done, I'm going to do this process with a couple of goals, but then I'm going to go and I'm going to do the work to kind of get rid of all my doubt. And then I'm going to come back and do it when I'm certain on some of the goals. That's okay. However you choose to do the process is okay. Just know the pitfalls. You're informed, and if you need more help, you know what to do. You know who to call, who to message. Okay. So with that said, have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. However you're celebrating and whatever you're celebrating, and I look forward to seeing you all interacting, doing more empowerment with you all in 2022. If I don't see you before. All right. Blessings and namaste.